Gardener Lunch and Learn program. And this is a program that we do once a month. It's always the second Saturday of every month. And we invite speakers in, first of all, for our members to get continuing education, but also as an outreach to our community. So we are glad you are here. Just some housekeeping. These are the restrooms if you need them. The garbage is up there next to those chairs, and there is plenty of food with the very special theme of companionship, peas and carrots, PB&J, because that is what our theme is this month, companion gardening. Any other, I will try to remember to say this again at the end, but next month, our Lunch and Learn is on June the 13th, and it is edible landscaping. So if that interests you, and even if it doesn't, come and have fun with us and learn. And if you did not get a door prize ticket when you checked in, please make sure you do that because we have 3 lovely door prizes up here that you might want one of those to take home with you. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speaker now. Our speaker today is Lucy Stevenson. Lucy has been a master gardener for 6 years. She has an undergraduate degree in biology and a master's in nursing. She has been studying life and its cycles for over 50 years. She has lived in Roane County for 42 years, raised her boys with her husband Barry, and is now enjoying her grandson. Knowing that all creation has to work together to survive successfully, today she will talk to us about how plants get along with their environment in companion gardening. And if you recognize Lucy either from one of our Lunch and Learn programs, or you might see her at the Kingston Farmers Market too. So go and check out her yummy things there. So Lucy, share with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here. I've given this session one time before, and it was so dry and so detailed. I thought I'd lighten it up a little bit. So you do have handouts in front of you that are very important because these, you might not be able to see it very well, but we're going to play a little Jeopardy at the end of the session. And on your handouts, there are blocked off sections of it that pertain exactly to these subject headers that we've got on the board. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to divide it up or get teams. I may just divide it right down the middle and put Jay on one side and on the other. But we'll make a team out of it somehow and have some fun with it. So let's get started then. So I am referencing 2 books that I've read and really love. Some of them you have to read over and over again to get the gist of it. But Vegetables Love Flowers by Lisa Mason Ziegler. She runs the Gardener's Workshop, which is an online podcast that she does. Anyway, the idea that they can coexist, in fact, do better if they do coexist. And then Plant Partners by Jessica Warler. Now, you may have in your head a preconceived notion of what companion planting is. You know, when I grew up gardening, it was you plant your marigolds with your tomatoes, or, you know, one plant with another to keep things in line. This is much more broader than that. Think of this as a whole ecosystem. Again, things growing together and working in harmony with each other to produce better outcomes. Okay. Well, we'll just do it this way. So the power of plant partnership. So the benefits of planting companion plant is to reduce pest pressure, reduce weeds, who doesn't love that, reduce disease, improve soil fertility or structure, improve pollination. That's a big deal. People hear a lot about that recently, but we'll go into more detail with that. Improve biological controls and improve aesthetics. Having flowers or plants that get along together actually looks pretty too. Does anybody have a notion about how this thing's supposed to work?
On the side, there's an on-off.
Thank you. That
See if
works.
that'll work.
Yeah.
Do you have?
Maybe it doesn't. It says it's. Oh. Well, there's that.
Okay, now turn it on.
There we go. There we go. Thank you. All right. So here we go. A companion planting, otherwise known as polyculture and intercropping. Think of this like intercropping means that you're planting plants with other plants to have this in a smaller area. If there's no distinct rows, it's called intercropping. Who does a garden without distinct rows? And you know, it's a concept that's probably new to us, but it's been done for millenniums. You know, I took a trip down to Jamaica, and I thought this garden is a mess. But it was because they didn't put them in little neat rows that we're so used to doing. Advantages?
More plants in your space.
Okay. Anybody else that does it that way?
Rotating your crops that you're planting.
Right. Rotating crops while you're planting, it gives a little variety, which is real important. When the crops are mixed in alternating rows, it's called row intercropping. And then when a second crop is planted right into the existing crop, just before harvesting, the first crop it's taken out, and then the second crop is ready to go in. It's called crop rotation. So, and how plants affect each other, the use of shared resources. Actually, hang on just a second. Let me get my handout. It'd be easier to do that than. All right, the use of shared resources that improves nutrients, availability, and absorption. There's a fungal association that people don't think of very often, and that is plants talk to each other subterranean as well. There's a microsystem that goes on between the roots and funguses. And funguses are really important in the garden. And we'll talk a little bit about that with allelopathy as well. And then the diversity equals stability. When you think about an environment where there's a monoculture, just one item, I think this has a point or two, just one item in your garden, things get out of balance. Whereas if you have multiple diverse garden, it will balance out and be better for all of it. Okay, we'll talk about monocultures. They result in decreased pressure, increased pressure in the soil, nutrient depletion, lack of pollinators and beneficial insects, and increased disease prevalence. Can you think of examples of monocultures?
Grass.
That's a perfect example. Monoculture, grass, our lawns. Yeah. But even agriculturally, corn, you know, soybeans, when you think about just somebody planting one thing, well, they have to augment that soil all the time. They have to fertilize, they have to do things to it to draw, and most of the time they're using weed suppressants, etc., to take care of it. So, because there's more disease prevalent in it. So it's a big expense and it's really not necessary. Diversity and structural complexity. It refers to the number of different plant species in a garden, and structural complexity refers to the assortment of growth habits and structure of those plants. So soil preparation and conditioning. This picture is a little exaggerated, I guess. You can't say absolutely no tilling. However, it's getting more and more in that direction. So maybe tilling up your garden the first time you put it in might be a good idea. You don't know what's there. You don't have to, but it probably helps you to get started. But after that, what you're going to do is just put compost on it, mulch on it, year after year. You don't have to till it again. You don't have to do anything dramatic to it. Just keep layering it up, because you think, well, my goodness, it'll be a raised bed by the time I get finished. No, it compacts, decomposition occurs, and the bed will go down every year, so you need to replenish it. So
I have a question on that.
yeah,
So I don't have rototill probably for 20, 25 years, but you know, the weeds that you get when you start after your winter garden, then I just put it over with a shovel. That would harm it to any great
no,
degree.
but you don't really, it's a lot of work. You don't
just don't
really
want
have
the
to do.
weeds.
Well, maybe a better option would be to take a hoe and just kind of scrape the top of them off, and do it before they seed out. You know, that's the big thing. But mulching, keeping the weed down, that's what we'll talk about, is how do we do it so we don't have to do so much weeding. I don't know that you can ever get rid of weeding. That would be great. But as we talked about the fungal colonies that exist subterranean, they like that environment. And so we get a tiller in there, it's going to disrupt it, and you've essentially destroyed any of their communication. And also soil compaction. So once you get a nice bed, what do we have a tendency to do? Tromp through it. That's not cool, because you've just really done the opposite of what you want to do. You want to step over it, you know, keep your rows 4 feet, no more than 4 feet wide, so you can step over the bed if you need to, or make paths around the beds so that you're not stepping on them. I don't know how to tread lightly. I'm not a light treader. But again, add an annual 1 to 2 inches of mulch to the top of it, keeps the soil intact. So 3 primary methods of utilizing companion plants. Cover crops. We're going to talk a lot about cover crops, because you think about what you're planting with what you have. What does your soil need? What are the plants taking away from the soil that you might need to augment with? So cover cropping is a big deal. Improving soil conditioning. There's a title there. So there are some cover crops that work really well with this. Well, first of all, let's talk about what are cover crops, and what do we use them for. So they're non-harvested in some cases, that are planted either before or after the harvest, or vegetable crop. And what you're wanting to do is, again, augment the soil from what was depleted from what you had planted in there. Plus, it keeps erosion down. It keeps a lot of cover crops actually pull nitrogen into the soil, so that helps your plants as well. It's typically planted in the fall or spring. You let it grow and then either mow over it, or you can just turn it into the soil, depending on the cover crop. And then we're going to pair the right species of cover crop with the right vegetable crop.
What's the best way to turn it into the soil?
You can do the shovel or just hoe it. You're just turning it in. And what I do sometimes is I use a biodegradable mulch that goes on the top of it, and I just leave it there for 10 days. It kills it down to the point where you can just turn it in easily with your. Okay, so we talk a little bit again about the function of the cover crop. reduction in soil erosion, creation of habitat, possible pest deterrence. If you don't have room for bugs of some sort to grow because there's so much dense growth in your bed, that makes them undesirable to some pests. Draws up nutrients from low in the soil. Addition of organic matter to the soil increases nitrogen fixation, soil fertility, soil structure, increases biodiversity, and suppression of weed growth. And that's one of the things I use to keep from having to weed. I planted crimson clover.
That's what I have to turn over.
You do, but it will self-seed, and you can have it again and again if you want to. However, if you cut it, either by just laying you could mow it or weed eat it, but by just laying the mulch or carpet or whatever you've got as a suppressant, then that'll kill it down enough to let you turn it over a little easier. So buckwheat is, we went to the UT Extension Farms Research Center in Crossville, and they had fields of buckwheat. It was so pretty, but it's mostly a summer cover crop. Oats, winter rye. Who's ever used winter rye? Yeah, it springs up fast. It makes your yard or your landscape really pretty because it's green, but it's a good cover crop as well. Crimson clover we talked about. I've used that one probably more than any of them. Same with winter wheat and the winter rye. And then cowpeas. I've never used cowpeas, but they say it's good.
So which ones of those would stay green into the winter?
Winter rye and winter wheat.
I do have a comment about that.
Sure.
I didn't buy a very good quality. I think now I go like Knox Seed or someplace because we've had a lot of weeds.
Oh, yeah. You have to be careful of that.
And when it died back, the weeds didn't die.
Oh.
But it would never die.
Look pretty for a while.
But be careful when you buy it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oops. Okay, plant partners for soil conditioning. This is where we're going to look at this soil conditioning thing. So oats you would use if you're going to be planting lettuce, radishes, peas, or brassicas. So if you've got a patch that you want to put in that, you can put oat seeds. This doesn't have to be like I'm putting it in my whole garden. You can do sections of whatever you're planting. You're going to put this cover crop. Buckwheat for zucchini, tomato, eggplants, or peppers. You cut it down just before, make sure you cut it down before it flowers to prevent it getting out of control. And then you can just leave your trimmings in place. You don't have to turn it in. If you're waiting and letting that area go fallow, then it will actually become compost. So there's no real reason to take it off. Winter rye for transplants like eggplants, squash, peppers, and tomatoes. Crimson clover for corn and leafy green vegetables. Why would you imagine crimson clover would be good for leafy green vegetables? Nitrogen, that's right, it's a nitrogen fixer, so it's getting nitrogen down into the soil, and what looks really pretty when it's got a lot of nitrogen in it. Anything that greens, any leafy green thing. So if you're wanting something for blooms, crimson clover might not be your best bet, but if you want something for greenery, then clover is really good. Winter wheat for pumpkins, winter squash and cucumbers, and cowpeas for leafy, I think that's supposed to be greens, like lettuce, spinach, or kale. Okay.
What if you wanted to put something in like a flower garden where you have
which is mainly what I have.
Yeah.
It's mainly flowers. I use the crimson. I've used it in my sunflower beds. And it actually, I didn't cut it down, I just let it reseed. And it doesn't get very high, and your sunflowers are nice and tall. So it kept the weeding down to minimal. I didn't do any weeding
It's
because it
so
was
pretty. It's bright, bright, vibrant red. It's really
and I've actually used it in cut flowers, because just having those little wispy,
So that's when you could put in a garden that's dying back in the fall.
yes,
Put that in there and
definitely.
get a little bit of
Because
sun.
it'll come up in the cool. It likes it cool. Okay, so plant partners for nitrogen transfer. We already talked a little bit about it, but garden beans with potatoes, fava beans with sweet corn. Who's ever planted fava beans? I always think of that movie. What was it? Yeah. Cowpeas with pepper and other tall transplants. Peas with lettuce. Edamame with fall greens. I've never planted edamame either, but
oh, it's good. By
is it? Does it do all right?
The only place I was planted was, I think it's called Willow Ridge.
Willow Ridge?
up in
Yeah.
Oak Ridge.
Yeah. Cool. And then for breaking up heavy soils, this is a fun story. Buckwheat is a good one. Forage radishes. Have you ever heard of daikon radishes? I know Russ has. He brought some. They were really good. I've never eaten them before. I've just used them for soil busting. That's what he did. They were so good. They were so good. And then turnips. And you don't have to eat all these things, but what happens with these vegetables is that their root, which is the turnip or the radish, gets really big. And so when it's out of there, then your soil has automatically aerated. So it actually busts up the soil so that you don't have to till. It's doing the tilling for you. Another good thing to do, and I say this with kind of tongue in cheek, my son had pigs, and pigs are great for tilling up the soil. They were little small pigs, but he just let them out in the garden, and by the end of the day, they're practically, who needs a rototiller? All right, chickens are good at that, but then you have to worry about them eating tearing up your plants too.
When you don't have veggies.
Yeah.
Yeah, they rip it up.
Okay, weed management. Isn't that a topic? This is my favorite topic. And that's where you want to get into the living mulches. So rows of living mulches alternate with vegetable rows. You could have, all your vegetables here, and your next one you want to do some living mulches. We'll talk about what those are. They can be grown directly under taller crops. So that was the crimson clover with the sunflowers. They can be sown throughout the orchards, and living mulch is planted around the base of grapevines. Who's ever had to keep up with dealing with grapevine? Because it's hard to do weed eating, right? Because then you tear up your grapevine. So put something in there that you don't have to take off. Oh, keep pushing that wrong button. So these are plant partners of living mulches. Hint, okay. Before we talk about that, I want to talk a little bit about trap cropping. Trap cropping is when you plant something to lure the bad insects away from another thing. So cabbage with collards. So you don't want to put these right next to each other. You put the trap vegetation at the peripheral of your garden. It attracts the bad insects to them. I've heard people say, well, then won't they come from all over the world just to get to you? They don't really do that, but it does keep it out of the garden for the most part of where you have it. But the cabbage is with collards. It lures the diamondback moths. Tomatoes with cowpeas lures southern green stink bugs. Various squashes with blue Hubbard squash lures squash bugs, squash vine borers. Bell peppers with hot cherry peppers. That lures the pepper maggots. So the ones in, let's see, well, in your handout where it says the second crop listed is the lure. So your cherry peppers would be the lure to keep your bell peppers from getting crazy. Various vegetables with radish or pak choi. Coal crops with Chinese mustard greens lures the flea beetles. Various vegetables with mustard greens lures the harlequin bugs. Y'all have problems with them? I used to have harlequin bugs. And then but putting your mustard greens again on the peripheral of your garden. Strawberries with alfalfa lures the lygus bugs. All right, and now we're going to talk about plant partners for masking host plants.
So
Go ahead.
then you go to the trap crop
Uh-huh.
and then deal with the bugs locally.
Well, you don't have to.
I like mustard.
Oh, well, then you might have a little issue because you're going to be attracting. Maybe there's
So they're
another.
sacrificial.
Yeah, they are sacrificial crops. All right. Plant partners is living mulch, so we went over those. Plant partners for allelopathy. I feel like I'm jumped ahead of something. Okay. So chemical compounds produce nicotine, caffeine, tannins, quasicalic acids, strychnine, cardioglycosides, and quinine. These inhibit the growth of other plants, but for our use, we're just looking at plants that inhibit the growth of weeds. So your winter rye reduces foxtail, pigweed, ragweed, purslane germination. So use when you're growing from transplants. So again, that winter rye is a handy cover crop to put in. I mean, pigweed is all over the place. Some people eat it. That's another thing that, it's an amaranth of a sort. So, but the rest of it is just trash plants. Cucumbers with taller vegetables and rapeseed with potatoes.
What does pigweed, excuse me, what does pigweed look like?
It looks like an amaranth.
Oh, I have that.
Everybody has this. And really, it is edible. So if you were really hungry, you could go out.
Taste it?
Yeah, it's like spinach. It's not terrible. Okay, now we'll talk a little bit about plants that act as living trellises. So this is for support and structure. So one plant that will, let's see, where are we here? I don't think we talk about that yet. Oh, okay. Got to turn my page over. Plants that act as living trellises. You can plant your corn and pole beans. What indigenous group of people are we familiar with that plant things together using corn as a trellis? So the Cherokees here that were, and you can go up to Southwest Point and you can see the Indian, Native American ways of planting, the things that they used to plant together. And there were the sister plants, and it was beans, corn, and squash. Thank you. And so again, that was their companion planting at the very beginning, because the corn stalks acted as living trellises. Now, that doesn't mean you can't put other trellises in. It just means that there are ways of going about this without having to put other structures. Sunflowers and mini pumpkins. Broom corn and edible bottle gourds. Amaranth and coyote. I don't know what that is. It sounds hallucinogenic. That may be pot. Yeah, amaranth is a big one. Quinoa and bitter melons. I had a friend who was from the Philippines, and she would make bitter melon, and it was great. I don't think you can get it here other than in Asian markets, but if you wanted to grow some, there you go. Sunchokes and cucamelons, orac and fall peas, tithonia and Malabar spinach. Anybody know what tithonia is? It's a sunflower. It's a type of sunflower. Instead of just growing one stalk and having one sunflower at the top, this one branches out, and it's very pretty. Doesn't live as long in the cut base as the pro-choice sunflowers, but they're very pretty. And then Malabar spinach is a very hardy spinach. And do you like it, Russ? No. Yeah, but it's pretty good. It's got a lot of flavor. Kiss Me Over the Garden Gate and gherkin cucumbers. I do not know what Kiss Me Over the Garden Gate is. Sorghum and asparagus beans, okra and currant tomatoes, tree kale and runner beans. So those are things that can give structure to the plants that you're trying to grow. All right, let's talk about,
Question on that?
yeah.
Say you do that first one, corn and pole beans.
Uh-huh.
Do you plant them at the same time? Or do you let the corn?
You
get
could,
it?
because they're both warm weather vegetables, and one will grow faster and taller than the other. Corn goes fast. It'll be tall. I also try to put the corn in some kind of a structured trellis as well. Like do you know what Florida weaving is? Where you put T-posts at the corners of your corn patch, and then you just take twine and go around it to make so that when the wind, because it invariably will, I don't know how many times I've come up and my corn's on the ground, it helps to give it structure as well. So the corn needs structure support too. All right. We talked about that. So pest management. So there's ways of dealing with pests, and that's luring pests away through trap cropping. We've talked about that. Disrupting insect feeding behavior. If you have your peripheral with what did we say a while ago that you like to grow? Spinach. No? A mustard. If you do the mustard around the periphery of the garden, you're disrupting the insect's feeding behavior, having to go there instead of in your garden. Interfering with pest egg laying. I learned a lot about this. I had no idea that insects, well, they have this landing mechanism. So they go land on a plant. Do they lay eggs there immediately? No. They go away and come back. And there's a number of times that they'll do that just to make sure that that's a good place for them to lay eggs. So there's methods of interrupting that egg laying behavior. I thought that was interesting. Using plants to physically impede movement of pests toward crops. Employing a general polyculture approach to improve overall diversity. But there is a word of caution. So competition for resources occurs, even with companion planting. Carefully select the companion plants, or they may take over your garden. Consider how many companion plants you need to closely plant them, and how to tie the plantings. And select the companion plant because it's more attractive to pests than the desired crop is, and that's what it's about. So you're trying to get the pest away from your garden. Okay, plant partners for trap cropping. Cabbage with collards. I don't think we talk about this one as much. I think we went over this one, right? Tomatoes with cowpeas, various squash. Yeah, we talked about that. And then masking host plants. This works through masking volatile chemicals See, it's not just the root system. They also emit chemicals above ground and visually confusing the insects. So it limits the number of that appropriate landings I was talking about, how many times that they'll come. So you can confuse them by putting your peppers plus alliums for the green peach aphid, keeps them away. Zucchinis and nasturtiums for squash bugs. Chinese cabbage and green onions for flea beetles. Tomatoes and basil for thrips. So if you've got a garden outside your kitchen that you want to do some caprese thing, you just can't grow your mozzarella. I wish they could figure that out. But you can definitely put your tomatoes in with your basil to control thrips. Collards and calendulas for aphids. A calendula is a pretty little flower. And then potatoes and pansies for catmint or Colorado potato beetles. And then this is the interfering with the egg laying thing. So it interferes with the appropriate. What happens is you plant these plants together, the insect goes to the first plant, thinks, okay, that's where, and then it says, oh, but this plant looks pretty cool too, and it'll go over here, and it interrupts that landing thing, which is when they, depending on the insect, how many times they make a landing is when they're going to say, okay, this is the plant I'm going to lay eggs on. So if you confuse them by planting another plant close by that looks similar or acts similar, has a chemical similar to the one you want to keep, it confuses them and they don't lay the eggs anywhere. So tomato and thyme or basil for yellow striped armyworms. Hornworms. Who's ever had problems with the hornworms? They're a pain. So tomatoes and basil together for hornworms. Cole crops and thyme for cabbage worms and cabbage loppers. Cabbage and white clover for cabbage root maggot flies. Onion and cole crops with marigolds. That's more of a typical one, but I usually heard marigolds you plant with tomatoes, but he was saying you do it with onions and cole crops. So I thought that was pretty interesting to keep bugs away by just confusing their recognition of the plant to lay eggs on. And then anytime you grow hedgerows or have outside the garden, so this plant partnership is not just what you plant next to each other, it's the whole shebang, right? So if you put a hedgerow of any of these plants, it keeps low-growing cover crops for soil dwelling pests, blocks access to the soil for those pests that may lay eggs. Can be official living mulch plants, low-growing plants such as thyme or sweet asalum. I'm in the process of sowing over 200 creeping thyme with the thought that this is going to eliminate the weeds around my hydrangeas. Now, Russ, give me a break. It might work. And that's the idea, is to cover the soil, which limits the number of pests that can be found around the vegetables you want to keep. All right. Disease management. Let's see. Yeah, thank you. You can read better than me. Decreasing disease pressure. All right, so we're going to talk about plants that work well with helping with cover crops. There's that word again. So cover crops and living mulches help with disease management. It generates antifungal compounds for conditioning the soil. It supports beneficial microorganisms. It reduces the splash up effect, limiting certain insect-transmitted diseases, improves the overall health of the soil and plants, and prevents a buildup of pathogens in the soil. So if there's one thing you take away from today's session, it will be something about cover crops. So look over your list for cover crops and see what's the best one to put where you want to be. So
What is, splash up effect? What is that?
When it rains.
oh yeah. So when I thought you said something about squash. Splash up is the rain hits the soil, splashes the bad bugs up on the plant. So we have plant partners to manage the disease. Potatoes and oats, or winter rye. There's that one again from verticular wilt. Who's had problems with that? Me. I've planted a couple of magnolia trees and they got verticulum wilt, and so I should have planted a cover crop close by. Potatoes and brassicas for potato scab, cauliflower and lettuce again for verticulum and sclerotina stem rot. Tomatoes and hairy vetch. I know Ann will love this. Hairy vetch, it can take over. So again, like it said, any cover crop you want to put in, you have to manage it as well. So and the hairy vetch keeps down foliar diseases. It's pretty too. It has a pretty purple bloom.
And seed pods.
And seed pods. Watermelons and hairy vetch to reduce fusarium wilt. Anybody had problems with fusarium wilt? I mean, if you've gardened enough, you'll get these problems. Beans and winter wheat or winter rye to manage root rot. All right, so one of the things we want to do to help with disease prevention is improving the air circulation. I do a lot of stuff indoors, and I have a hydroponics garden. Well, I've got a big fan above it too, and it's not to keep them cool. It's just to move the plant around and increase air circulation, because it does keep down disease. Well, you can't do that outside, but depending on the wind usually comes in from the west, so you don't want to blow your plants down. So maybe having a hedgerow on the west side would give you strength of not only decreasing the wind, but also that harsh west sun that's not the best for gardens. But on the east side, if you keep an open space, you get the morning sun and you will get some wind and air circulation. So just manage where your air is coming from. But the rust, powdery mildew, downy mildew, leaf blight, and leaf spot are examples of diseases that move via air currents. So you space your plants properly to maximize air circulation. Now, being a flower farmer for the most part, we've been told plant your flowers 3 inches apart instead of what's recommended of 6 to 8 inches apart. And I do that because I get more production, but I do it in sections. So I may have a plot here that has a tight, but over here I've got plenty of air circulation. So it's just a matter of where you place it and how you manage keeping the airflow going. You don't want to make all your corn, and that's again where we get into monocultures, where you have everything being the same height, the same, it just doesn't lend itself to good air circulation. Tall plants such as tomatoes, peppers, and okra are surrounded by and interplanted with lower growing varieties such as carrots, beets, bush beans, which allows maximized airspace for them. Plus, it makes a better volume production for your garden. You can get use out of that space underneath the tall vegetation that maybe doesn't need all the sun, right? So if you need plants, your leafy greens, that might do better at the base of tall plants that offer shade, sunflowers, corn. These diseases also rely on moisture So water in the morning so the foliage dries quickly. Companion planting can ensure ample air movement around each plant. And then rather than planting 3 rows of tomatoes next to each other, alternate the tomatoes with a row of shorter crops. And that, like bush beans, that would help with air circulation. Biological control, enhancing natural pest predation. We'll talk about that. Plant partners to attract beneficial insects. Purple. And plant partners for habitat creation. So what is biological control? Is it the use of Roundup? No. We're talking about using one living organism to help control the population of another. So you encourage good bugs to help manage the bad bugs. Anybody got any examples of good bugs helping to manage bad bugs? Ladybugs do what? They get rid of aphids. That's a good one. Then intentional release of insects. I've never had to do that, but I've heard of people putting ladybugs, but you have to be careful, and I think I'll refer to this later on. Back in the day when they said, oh, ladybugs are really great, they got Asian ladybugs and let them out, and then we have a real problem with Asian ladybugs now. Yeah, that's why in the next sentence, if you see containers of ladybugs in the garden center, don't buy them. Buy only from reputable dealers that know what kind of ladybugs you're getting. Yeah.
We have, in July, we have a lunch and learn on beneficial bugs.
Oh, great. Perfect. That'll be great. But even better, use insects in promoting those already in your landscape instead of having to bring some in. All right, enhancing natural pest predation. Partner pest prone plants with plant species known to provide nectar and pollen to the beneficial insects. Assure there are as many beneficial insects in the garden as possible, and include companion plants that create these. So we have another decreasing pest pressure, attracting beneficial insects. Did I already say that? I think I did. All right. So lettuce and other greens with dill and fennel. Oops, sorry. Eggplants and dill or cilantro to control the Colorado potato beetle. Cole crops, black-eyed Susan, cosmos for aphid control. Various vegetables and carrots and the mint family herbs to control caterpillar pests. We always think of mint as being something you have to pull up to get rid of, but have you seen any caterpillars around it? Lettuce or grapes along with sweet asylum for aphid control. Cole crops and lacy Phacelia for controlling cabbage, aphids, and other pests, and many crops in crimson clover again to control thrips. So partners for creating habitats for different beneficial insects. Broccoli and crimson clover to attract predaceous spiders. Lettuce and bunch grass to attract ground beetles. Low-growing plants to attract ground-dwelling beneficials, hollow-stem perennials for winter habitat. You don't have to clear out your garden at the end of the year, because a lot of what you have that may have hollow stems are great living habitat for beneficial insects. And hedgerows of closely planted permanent woody vegetation. So let's talk about improving pollination and bringing more pollinators to the garden through perfect plant pairing. It's supporting native bees, plant partners to improve pollination, and to create nesting habits for pollinators. So why do we want to support native bees? Well, They don't have to have a structure that we built to protect them. They don't breed with a colonnade. They're more effective pollinators than the European honeybees. They're active in cold and wet conditions, which European honeybees, they all go to the hive when it's cold. They have a broader foraging habit. Most native bees are docile and don't sting. I've never met a bee that I liked on me. Though they don't sting, I haven't let them stick around.
bees.
Uh-huh.
So I've got mason bees,
Oh,
which are
good.
solitary,
Right.
and leaf cutters, which you have to have hosta nearby.
Okay.
They do, and then you take out their eggs, because we've got little boxes.
Oh,
My
yeah.
husband made mine, but you can buy them online.
Yeah.
And then you take, they're surrounded, they lay their eggs in there in a row,
Okay.
and then each egg has all this little yellow pollen
Okay.
in there, and then you can take them
Gives them
out
something to eat.
and put them in sand, and then put them back out, or just leave them over the winter, and then the babies come out.
Oh, well, there you go.
But they're really good pollinators.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard,
And they don't sting
and you've had
unless
experience
you were to stick.
stand on them or
Yeah.
something. Well, thanks for that. I never knew you had to go through that process to help them along. So plant partners to improve pollination. Again, we do have that column right here. Tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants with large hooded flowers to attract bumblebees, like in your flower gardener. So snapdragons are a great example of a hooded baptisia, lupines, any of those that have a little hooded on the blossom. Bumblebees love to get up in there. Blueberries and crimson clover to attract bumblebees. Squash and more squash to attract squash bees. Flowering herbs and annuals to attract sweet bees. Greens and root crops with cosmos. See, this is blending your flowers with your vegetables to help attract small native bees. And then flowering plants to attract mason bees, etc. So to attract nesting habits for these pollinators, aside from doing what our illustrious visitor wanted here, Ellie, thanks for sharing that. So don't cut back in your environment at the end of the fall. Wait till spring to do it. And when cutting back your garden in the spring, leave 8 to 12 inches of stubble. Eliminate pesticide use. I am horribly allergic to poison ivy. But you know what really likes poison ivy? Pollinators, when it starts to bloom. So if you're going to get rid of your poison ivy, do it before it blooms, because you will kill off some bees. Go no-till in the garden to preserve existing ground-based nesting sites and encourage establishment of new ones. So that's a lot of information, but in summary, companion planting is not a cookie cutter fix to everything. It's a lot of trial and error, because you've got what you want out of your garden. You have to be able to figure out which cover crop you're going to use, or which companion plant how you're going to set up your periphery. So the small creatures that live in your garden will soon be seen for what they are. I had a friend who was deathly afraid of bees. And so she went and tried to get rid of all because she didn't want them. Well, she did a good job. And then she noticed that her garden was suffering. And then she started letting things happen naturally again. And she realized that just because a sweat bee lands on you doesn't mean it's going to sting you. And sweat bees are good pollinators too. So you can just blow on them, or they're not after you. They're after anybody that messes that messes with their world. So just be considerate.
When do you know when to cut back in the spring?
Probably when things start greening up. So your stubble, surely they've merged from that. Or you can do like she does and look inside and see if there's any eggs in there. All right, and then educate others on what you've learned. So what we're going to do now, I have no idea what time it is. It's 1. We'll do a quick fun thing. Okay. All right, so we're going to divide the room up. You two get it. So this will be team green, and this will be team yellow. Blue? You want blue? Okay, yellow. Okay, green and yellow. It's very springy. All right, so anybody that's on this team, this is Jeopardy. Okay, I'll call out. You can pick a topic. We'll just go, and then what number you want, and then I will read it, and then you give the answer or give the question. All right, so team yellow. What color? Since you can't read it, just what color? What? Because I'm the teacher. We have improving soil, decreasing weeds, decreasing soil disease, decreasing pest pressure, and improving pollination.
Well, how about, yellow, since we're yellow, is that okay, yellow team?
You're the team leader, by the way.
Oh.
So what color?
Oh, yellow.
Oh, this. All right. What category? Yeah.
Let's just start out with 100.
With 100. All right.
Okay, team, speak up.
All right. These plants attract bumblebees.
What is blueberries and crimson?
Yay! She wins. All right.
Thank you.
And since you got that one, you get a point. You get 100 points. Notice there is no dollar sign. So, okay. Don't you go again? Right. So go again, team yellow. What color?
Somebody else choose blue.
All right. For 100? This is decreasing soil disease. This plant helps manage verticillium wilt.
I can't even pronounce it.
I can't either. Verticulum. You say it out loud, you got it right. He can read, yay! All right. I'm just because I'm teaching. Go ahead. Team green, you pick a category.
Purple for 300, Alex.
Oh, all right. Decreasing pest pressure, attracting beneficial insects. These plants attract beneficial insects for thrift control.
Crimson Clover.
Mini crops and crimson clover.
Amen. Yay, you got it. All right, you get to go again.
Go large. Purple for 400, Alex.
Oh my goodness. This is crazy. These plants attract beneficial insects for Colorado potato beetle control.
That would be eggplant and dill or cilantro.
Yay. Boy, you are going home with the big. Okay, over here, yellow. Pick a category. We have improving soil conditioning, decreasing weeds, soil disease, pest pressure.
Pick something high, folks, because they're ahead of us.
Yeah.
All right, well, you pick one.
Me?
Yeah.
Pollination for 400, please.
Pollination for 400. All right. These plants attract sweat bees.
Flowering herbs and annuals.
Yay! All right, so that's you. You go one more time. Maybe turn it over to the other team.
Blue for 400.
Blue for 400. Decreasing soil diseases. These plants help manage foliar disease. That's right. And I was really hoping you'd say that one.
I had seeds.
I know. All right. Team Green, got to catch up now. It's currently 1,000 to 700. You're 700.
So go for green for 400.
Green for decreasing weeds with living mulches. This living mulch is used with summer squash. Come on, Todd, this is yours.
Summers. Oh, mustard?
Yes, it's yellow mustard. He got it. All right, one more.
What was the answer?
Yellow mustard.
No, mustard green.
Oh, well, whatever. It has mustard in it. Don't say as I say, say as I do. That's right. One more time over here. Pink, improving soil conditioning. This is my favorite. This cover crop is used for pumpkins, winter squash, and cucumbers. Ding, 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 ding.
Winter wheat.
Yes, that's right. You win 400 points.
Okay, so back to yellow.
Back to yellow. The board's still full and there are no daily doubles. We'll do this 2 more rounds, then we're going to quit. But this is your moment.
All right, well, how about pink for 300?
Improving soil conditioning. This cover crop is used for corn and leafy green vegetables. Right, crimson clover. Yoo-hoo! Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm keeping score here, I got it.
Okay, so so what, you get one more go. Green,
300.
300. Green is decreasing weeds with living mulch. This living mulch is used with strawberries and blueberries. Yeah, it's a little tricky. It's not crimson clover. It is white clover. So think about that, where your blueberries are, and you'd hate to put some white clover around the base of them. All right, Team Green. This is the last round.
Improving pollination for 300.
All right. This hooded plant attracts bumblebees.
What'd you say?
Hooded plant attracts bumblebees.
Snapdragon.
That's right. What are some others? Just
Snapdragon, Batista, lupines, many members of the pea family.
all right. Very good.
You think Columbine would follow herself in? It's also bees trying to get in there and just want to get in there.
Yeah, I don't think it's hooded, is it? They like to get up underneath things like that. All right, you got one more go at it.
Blue for 300.
Blue for 300, decreasing soil disease. These plants help manage potato scab.
These plants do what?
Help manage potato scab.
Brassicas.
That's right. You win. Okay, so let's add it all up here.
Okay, while Lucy's adding that up with the exciting announcement of who won, I'm just gonna wrap things up.
Green one? Yeah, because they did 400 right off the bat.
Oh, congratulations, Green, you won it.
Yay, green one.
Thank you guys for coming again and spending your Saturday with us. If you notice on the back table as you go out, please help yourself to our resources. If you have somewhere you can put a flyer up about our lunch and learn, that would be great. Reminding that next month on June the 13th, we're gonna talk about edible landscaping, and there is a complete schedule for the whole year back there on the table too. And there's a great brochure that people worked really hard on that tells you about our Master Gardener program. And so I think it has resources in there that they can use, so contact.
Yeah, we have our
Check it out.
Facebook page and our web.
Okay, so that's on the back table. So please help yourself to that. And as you leave, please please help yourself to a plate of food to take with you. There's plenty there, and it would help us out if you did too. So we've got 3 door prizes. Get your tickets out. And Mara, will you choose a ticket for me? Okay. Last 3 numbers, 223. Okay. This is the garden flag and toast. One more. This is a Southeastern U.S. vegetable crop handbook. Great resource. Last 3 numbers, 243. Steve. And our wildflower bouquet and vase.
I think I get that one.
I agree.
It's
You did
pretty.
a great
Last
job.
3 numbers, 241.
Redraw, redraw. Huh?
Thank you, Donna, for
Those in your
coming.
garden?
No,
Thank you for
they are
coming,
pretty
and
though.
thank you to Lucy. for
Yes.
sharing this information.
Thank you all. Great thing.
And I'm just gonna add, if you guys have a subject that you're interested in, or you'd like to hear someone talk about it and share their knowledge, Susan back there behind the iPad, she is the gal to talk to, and we'll see what we can do. Thank you.
Thank y'all.